Hi, everybody. This is Mrs. Martin, and I'm coming to you with the In Case You Missed It digital daily update for Team Cheetah 7 English for Thursday, September 17th, 2020. Today in English class, we started off with our parts of speech pre-assessment. So if you go to Google Classroom, it should be the third item down, maybe the fourth by then, on this list. So it'll be called New Assignment, Do Now, Parts of Speech Pre-Assessment. So when you open it up, you'll see that it's actually a Google form. And it tells you, today you'll fill out a brief Google form to see how well you know the parts of speech. If you don't know an answer, please take your best guess. This does not count toward your grade, so please do not worry. Do not look up the answers. I'm interested to see what you know and are able to do on your own. Read carefully and simply try your best. So students took about 10 minutes to answer 10 questions on the parts of speech on the Google form. And as with all Google forms, when you're finished with it, please make sure you press submit at the bottom. The next item that we discussed was the summer reading assignment. The summer reading assignment was given out in June by the 6th grade teams, and the graphic organizer is due in class tomorrow. Now, as far as turning it in is concerned, if you ended up printing it and doing it on actual paper, you can photograph it or scan it with your cell phone and email it to me directly. If you were able to put the answers into a Google document, then you simply need to share that Google document with me. There is not going to be a place for you to turn this in on Google Classroom. So your submission of the summer reading graphic organizer will need to be turned in over email. The next item on our agenda today was writing about your virtual locker. So as you'll recall, we've been working on the virtual locker assignment this week. So today we worked on the writing part of that. So you'll come to this assignment, classwork assignment number 3, and you'll select the document, which is called Writing About My Virtual Locker. The first step was to take all of the items in your locker and categorize them. So perhaps you have pictures of loved ones, so they would go in the family members, friends, and pets box. Perhaps you have certain hobbies or activities or sports that you featured in your locker. They would go in the favorite sports and activities box. Favorite television shows and movies and favorite music or celebrities go in those boxes. And then you have 2 boxes marked other for things that you put in your locker that you might categorize. So for instance, on the top of my locker, there are books. There are 2 different books. One is a series called Anne of Green Gables, and the other is a book called The Tao of Pooh by Benjamin Hoff. They're both books. They're both sets of books. So they belong in the same category, even though they are wildly different books. So once we categorize all of our materials, we moved on and discussed writing a topic sentence. I'm sure this is a review for some of you, but a topic sentence is simply a sentence that tells what the paragraph will be about. It lets the reader know what they can expect from the paragraph they're about to read. So we have some examples in the blueprint. This virtual locker is full of all the things I like best. Or, my virtual locker reflects all of my interests. Or, a slightly more sophisticated take, a look inside of my virtual locker provides insight into who I am. Any of these is successful because it's introducing the idea that the items in your virtual locker are important to you and matter to you in some way. Please do not announce what you plan to write. Sentences like, in this paragraph, I will describe my virtual locker, do not sound interesting or natural. You would not write a text to a friend that says, in this text message, I will tell you how my weekend went. So, keeping that in mind, you want to try to get as close as you can to the examples in blue. But keep in mind, the beauty of writing is there really are a million ways to do this correctly. Just make sure that that topic sentence mentions that the virtual locker has items in it that are of significance to you. Then we talked about how to write for the categories that we have grouped our items into. So it tells you next select one of the categories from the first page. Since we are only writing one paragraph, think about how you would describe the items in that box. So if we're only writing one paragraph, which averages between 5 and 7 sentences, and you've got 10 items in your locker, you're not going to be able to write a sentence for each item in the locker. So you're going to have to think again about how to group things together. So for instance, in my box labeled favorite television or movies, I included the TV shows The Office, Impractical Jokers, and Parks and Rec. And I would love to write a paragraph about each of those things, but that's not appropriate for this assignment. So instead, I've grouped them all together. And the example is in blue on the page. I'm a fan of television shows that make me laugh, like The Office, Impractical Jokers, and Parks and Rec. So that shows that I enjoy laughing. And so that teaches somebody a little something about me, not just what I like, but what it is that I get from the things that I like. Then I might need a separate sentence to talk about my favorite movies. So in blue it says, movies like Dodgeball make me laugh as well, which I think is important because life can be too serious at times. So here I'm giving the reason outright why I like things that make me laugh. And I can even fit my favorite YouTube star into this section of writing since he's someone who I watch and I find to be amusing. So in blue it says, my favorite YouTuber is Brad Mondo, a very entertaining hairstylist, so I included his logo, which reminds me to live my extra life. So by grouping all of the similar sentences together, I've given my writing a logical sense of direction, and that way it's easier for the reader to follow me and understand. So you will attack your writing this way tomorrow. You're going to go box by box and group like things together, and then write sentences that flow into each other, that can lead your reader into a logical direction. And then, of course, once you've done this, you're going to write it all up on that third slide of the Virtual Locker Google Slides deck. That's the slide that has the Mountie logo, not the slide with the directions printed on it. Then we went and looked at an example. So this example is from Mr. Alonji, and his first draft is what he refers to as his pajama draft. This draft is the draft that just rolled out of the bed. It's not ready to go out and see the world. And so in this pajama draft, you'll notice, if you read it, that there are lots of misspellings. There are lots of problems with capitalization. But worse, the ideas really do jump around way too much. So it's more challenging for your reader to understand. His second version, which is also available to you, is called his suit and tie version. This version of the paragraph is all dressed up and ready to go out on the town. And you'll notice the way he begins it is with a wonderful topic sentence. My virtual locker is filled with things that are important to me. And then he goes on to talk about them. And then I also want you to make note of the way he ends it. The final sentence says, I hope after you see my locker, you will know me a little better. So it really does tie up how this particular locker and the things inside of it represent him. And so with that being done, we went into our digital daily checkout form and we completed that and we ended our time together. Tomorrow, you can expect that we're going to finish up our writing, and we're also going to take a tour of our digital cartoon classroom. So I hope you'll be able to join us. If you have any questions, please email me at lmartin, MARTIN, @suffernceentral.org. Have a great afternoon.